You know, people, I don't know where you are currently on your awareness journey. However, understand that if you are dealing with a pathological narcissist, you are simply dealing with someone that is occupied by evil spirits. And that very well may be very difficult for you to understand. And when I say that narcissists are occupied by evil spirits, let's say you're dealing with a narcissist and the name is Ned or Nancy, Ned or Nancy the narcissist, right? Understand that their original consciousnesses were wiped out in their childhood years. So essentially they died. And in that death, then there was a portal. Nature abhors a vacuum, so they checked out, they dissociated, and that left a vacuum. And because nature abhors a vacuum, nature does not like a vacuum, which means that a space won't be left empty for very long. So light steps out and darkness eventually stepped in. So you're dealing with someone that is occupied by or operated by evil spirits. Because again, it could be multiple. Who knows how many members of Legion are in there today? Because what you're dealing with today are organic portals. So if you're new to this channel, there is an entire playlist here where I truly break down the pathological narcissist sorcerous ways. Because you're dealing with a sorcerer, people that use their powers for evil. So we talk about the demonic energy that is behind this spirit. So I'll leave that playlist link down in the description section. And know that if you're experiencing paranormal activity or preternatural activity around one of these personality types and you do need someone to talk to one-to-one, I do offer one-on-one clarity calls via the NarcDojo.com website. And we can have these sessions wherever you are in the world because all of this is online. So go ahead and check out the NarcDojo.com website for those resources. Hence, the main thing that you need to truly understand is that life is spiritual. We are spirits having a physical experience, and in this physical experience we have tools to use. All these tools, the mind power, the willpower, and the emotions. And as a collective, we can call this the psyche, the soul, or the personality. So if pathological narcissists have a personality disorder, then they have a compromised mind, will, and emotion. They don't have working tools. And they don't have working tools because they checked out. They checked out of the spirit realm, and when they checked out of the spirit realm, the soul collapsed. And it is this soul's collapse that clinicians are calling a personality disorder. You're dealing with people that are demon possessed. And these entities started to attach to them somewhere between their terrible 2 to 12 years old, on average somewhere between 5 and 7. That is when they got decimated. Their original spirits got compromised. And how did it get compromised? Because you have to think about this, people. If somebody ended up with a personality disorder, then what happened to them? So let's go ahead and take a trip down memory lane so we can truly understand where this behavior is coming from. Understand that personality disorders like narcissistic personality disorders, which is in the cluster B, personality disorders, which includes borderlines, right? Borderline personality disorders, histrionic personality disorder, that's HPD. And this also includes the sociopaths and psychopaths, which is antisocial personality disorder, ASPD. Personality disorders like these are created out of childhood abandonment, childhood neglect, abuse, or overall torture that traumatized the spirit, and it pushed the spirit down to shame. Personality disorders are created out of childhood abandonment, neglect, abuse, or torture, because all of these are traumatic. Why is it traumatic? It pushes the spirit down to shame. What is shame? It is self-loathing. Shame says, I am unworthy. That's a very dangerous sentence. I am unworthy. You don't put unworthy after I am. If you're saying I am, say I am powerful. I am magnificent. I am strong. But shame is the antithesis of self-love, because if you're abusing a child, that child is not in a state of self-love. Love is up there in the 500s. So understand, people, sincerely, that pathological narcissists encounter trauma, yes, and they were stuck. They got stuck, so they are traumatized. They are traumatized. While you very well may have experienced trauma, but you're not traumatized. That's the difference. Unhealed trauma stunts growth. Unhealed trauma stunts growth. They're stunted. They have psycho-spiritual arrested development. They checked out. They didn't check back in. So you very well may have dissociated for any abuse or neglect that you went through. Yes, but you came back. You see, you bend, but then you were able to snap back.
So you bend and snap.
You were bent, but you were able to snap back. When they bent, they got broken. That is unhealed trauma. And this is why I state often on this channel, do not project your consciousness onto a pathological narcissist. They don't think like you. They don't think like you. Do you have a pathological personality disorder? Where you're idealizing, devalue, discard, hoover, idealize, devalue, discard, hoover? Because if you don't think like a pathological narcissist. Because projection is saying that you think that what you think the narcissist thinks, which is not true. Narcissists have a reprobate mind. They have a mind that doesn't work. They are bad mind. They're stuck in a low vibrational state. The entire disorder is based out of dysfunctional shame, pathological shame. So you're dealing with a personality type that does not know love. They don't love themselves, and that means that they also cannot love anybody else. Love doesn't exist. Love does not exist in 1D, 2D, and 3D consciousness. Pathological narcissists have arrested development. They are stuck in a low vibrational state. That's the disorder. It is abandonment at the spirit level. They are spiritually bankrupt. So the trauma left them traumatized. So they're stuck in a shameless state. So they're stuck in a state of self-loathing. They're stuck in a state where they feel unworthy. And in shame, the self hides. So they had to run from shame, and they run from shame and they get to pride. But the pride is also dysfunctional. Because the pride here is not true confidence. The pride here is meant to cover the shame. The pride here is grandiosity. And grandiosity is false confidence. So you're dealing with a prideful personality with a rigid type of perfectionism, because they will not let go of that pride. They will not let go of their ego. That is why they're stuck in their lower ego development. You're supposed to develop out of your lower ego development. You're supposed to ascend. You're supposed to grow. You're supposed to reach for enlightenment. You're supposed to ascend. Pathological narcissists have psycho-spiritual arrested development. They run from their shame, they get to pride, and since they can't go up, well, they go down. Pride comes right before destruction. Pride comes right before the fall. They fall right back down to shame to do what? Run from their shame to get to pride. Pride comes right before the fall. They fall right back down to shame. That's the disorder, because they dissociated. The captain abandoned ship. The captain abandoned ship. They don't have a self, so they cannot self-reflect. Since they cannot self-reflect, they cannot grow. What you're dealing with today is a maladaptive ego. What's the ego? The ego is a false self. Because when they dissociated from the true self, a false self developed. That's the ego. That is what you're interacting with. And the ego is a mirror of you see. The ego is a mirror of you. The ego is mirroring whatever the narcissist thinks you like, they like.
Ever since I was born, I've been trained to serve you.
Yes, I know this, but I would like to know about you. What do you like to do?
Whatever you like.
What kind of music do you like?
Whatever kind of music you like.
Whatever the narcissist thinks you like, they like, because they don't have a true sense of self. Why don't they have a true sense of self? Because they're dissociated. Why did they dissociate? Because of childhood trauma that left them traumatized. Unhealed trauma stunts growth. They are stunted. So they don't have access to higher vibrations like courage. So you're dealing with a coward, you're dealing with an adult bully, and they're going to bully you. You're dealing with an intimidating spirit. You're dealing with an intimidating spirit because they don't really like themselves. They can't stand in courage. They don't feel powerful, so they lash out to bring you down. And they have to pull you down because down is where they exist at. They are stuck in victim abuser consciousness. They're stuck in their lower ego. They're stuck in the 3D. They're stuck in hell. And misery loves company, and that is why they drag you to hell. Hell is where they reside. And hell is where they have been residing before you even came into the picture. They have always been low vibrational beings. Always. Before you met them, while you were with them, after you leave them. That's the pathological narcissist. That's the disorder. So empathy doesn't exist, love doesn't exist, courage doesn't exist, neutrality doesn't exist. None of it exists. Dealing with someone that is stuck in darkness. People, remember that Narcissus from Greek mythology was obsessed with the reflection. He was obsessed with the false self. He was obsessed with his ego. And they tell you that Narcissus reached over into the pool, he reached over into the pond to maybe kiss his reflection, and he fell in and he drowned. Narcissus died. Narcissus fell. Pride comes right before the fall, you see. Because Narcissus was a vain character. And that story of Narcissus was there to warn us about a prideful nature, about a vain nature. Because pride comes right before destruction. Pride comes right before the fall. Narcissists cannot step out of the third dimension into the fourth dimension because they're filled with pride. Prideful personalities do not think that anything is wrong with their behavior. They're perfect. Perfect people don't need to change, and this is why perfect people do not grow. These perfect people regress. Narcissists regress. They get worse with time. And this is why oftentimes you'll hear me state on the channel that they age like milk. They curdle. They don't age like wine. They do not get better with time. And this is why you must safely leave, because you can get the courage to walk away. Why? Because you still have a sense of self. You can self-reflect. You can still grow. You can still heal. Narcissists checked out in their childhood years. They have arrested development. And the grand manipulation, the grand scheme, the grand con, because pathological narcissists are con artists, is to get you to believe that you need them. Because if you believe that you need them, you will follow them as they drag you to hell. Alright, good people, that's the quick message for today's video. Ensure that you are liking these videos. Ensure that you are subscribed for more empowering content just like this. And as always, if you need help, go ahead and find those resources on the NarcDojo.com website. Whether this is the NARC 101 course, or if you want a one-on-one clarity call, because I do coaching sessions, or consider applying for the Master Your Energy group coaching program, where we meet multiple times a week, where I'll help you to manifest the life that you truly desire. So we talk about personal development, we talk about spiritual warfare, right? We talk about how to handle toxic personalities. We talk about how to heal physically, psychologically, and spiritually. So if you're interested in growing in a like-minded community of survivors, thrivers, alchemists, and healers just like you, go ahead and check out the NarcDojo.com website for the Master Your Energy group coaching program, or scan the QR code that is somewhere on your screen. Otherwise, again, check the links below where you can click and go over to the website. All right, good people. Thank you so much for your continued support. Sheik is the name. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.